Okay, so Palworld macros. Gonna start with showing some examples for some of them that I've made and how I use them, starting with the buying macro. If you want to buy like Paldium fragments, lots of food and stuff like that. This is clearly not me clicking. This is just a quick 10 loop, buying 10 stacks or something to get like 9999, I guess. This is usually the Paldium fragments. Maybe you're buying wheat, red berries, lettuce, tomato, a bunch of ammo or something like that. So you can use a macro for that, for example, since currently you can only buy 999 at a time. It helps a little bit. Like Paldium is so cheap with Noble and Fine Furs. You see these 5 Anubis here, they all have Noble and Fine Furs. You can buy them for 12 gold each. So even if you're making and selling like legendary spheres, that's quite viable. Then we have souls, so starting the second macro. Just if you don't want to click, so this is not me clicking again, this is just a pre-recorded macro. You can make this a lot faster as well. I have one that is quite a bit faster, but this was just the one I made for this video. You can make it as short as you want. It depends a little bit on like your autosave interval and a little bit of lag and stuff like that, how quickly you have the clicks, like between the clicks themselves. Just gonna drop some Paldium so I can actually move. Gonna show one more thing. You can make macros for just about anything where you find yourself like just mass clicking in this game. So one thing that I do quite often, I'm gonna get my triple jump boots, this is ridiculous. I haven't designed the very best base. So something like this is another macro, just clicking once here, and it's gonna make some cement. Just for me, like this is just something I do when making legendary spheres. So again, this is not me clicking there. That's just a one button click to make that cement. If you're doing like mass legendary sphere production, queuing cement can be quite bothersome. So this is how I do it. I use Pulover's macro creator and AutoHotkey. You need to download both these programs for this to work. You click that button there to add a second macro. You can add how many ever you want to like the same macro save file. And then I realized after recording that this didn't show, but you want to disable the mouse move and timed intervals or activate them depending on what you're recording. So it's in this menu here where you activate and deactivate those. So just for like the first one with the merchant, I removed mouse moves and timed intervals. But I didn't realize until after I made the video that it doesn't actually show those steps. And this is something else that doesn't show in the video. When you press record, the red circle in the program and open Palworld, you get that little bar up there, but it doesn't show in this video. So I actually have it, like I can see it, but you can't, it's up there. So I will be clicking it a little bit in the video. But it's mostly just the red circle, the one that's up here. You can click it in the program itself to start recording the macro, or you can click it on that little bar. If you do click it, you get the option to just press F9. So what I usually do is I click it in the program, and then I press F9 for the hotkey. So that's one recorded loop. I pressed F9, bought Paldium, and then recorded. Then you end up with something like this after you've recorded one loop of the macro. But since Palworld has a little bit of like delay between each click, you do want to add a pause in between each. So you press the pause button and it didn't show as well either. But you press that orange circle in the menu, you add a pause, I selected 100 milliseconds, so 0.1 seconds. And then I just copy paste that in between each click. You click loop, it doesn't show either, but I add 10 loops here for that whole interval. So you got 10 loops of buying one max stack. Then I just press play. It opens Palworld by itself and buys 10 stacks. So that's just really quickly how you make that sort of macro. I'm going to show how I made the cement macro because the souls maxing macro was made in like the exact same way as the buying macro, just recording my mouse movement. So I jump to macro 2. You can add however many macros you want, and then when you save them, you can open them and have like your Palworld macro save. So here I activate mouse moves and I activate timed intervals because when you're making cement, you are going to be scrolling and moving the mouse while holding down the mouse button just to max the queue. So again, I press record, I press F9, the hotkey to record, I make one stack and F9 again. And I've recorded one loop of that. And you can see it's a lot more steps because it's recording the mouse movement. So you can sort of tweak this as much as you want by removing some of the pauses and some of the mouse moves. I'm not going to do it in this video because I just wanted to show quickly how it works. But each one of these pauses, like you can remove, so I removed like the first one just to show it still works. And then you can sort of tweak it however you want. Just remove some pauses, try the macro. If it doesn't work, just Control-Z and try it again. So we press play. It's going to do my exact mouse movements with the dragging and start production. And it's still a little bit slow. So I'm just going to show like an example. You can scroll down and see like where you click and find the pauses in between. So you select like a pause and a mouse movement. You scroll down to where the click is and select something above it. Like you probably want a pause or two in between. Something above it, just delete. It's gonna be a little bit weird the first time you do it. So you just delete all that stuff between. You try the macro, see if it works. So what can happen if you remove too many pauses is that the game isn't registering the mouse movement, like the UI isn't updating in time. So like it won't load that you are hovering over the scroll bar before clicking, it won't scroll down. So we try again, it still works, it's a little bit snappier. And then I just go in and I keep removing pauses until it stops working. Control-Z, and that will just be fine. You can also do it with the scroll wheel, you don't have to drag, but it really depends on preference. So here you can see up in the top right, play with shift plus something. So that's where you select your hotkey for the specific macro. So you can use anything you want really there. Just like F3, F4, shift, alt, control, all that good stuff. But then you open the game and you try shift plus 7 for me. So shift and 7 and nothing is happening because you need to activate the macros themselves in the program. So you will need to have this like program up and running unless you want to do a little bit more advanced stuff with AutoHotkeys. This is just a basic guide. So I'll just keep this program running when I'm doing it. But you want to click on macro and then activate macros or just Control Enter. When you click that, you get the option now to use those hotkeys. So me just pressing Shift 7 now. It's not me manually making the cement. This is just a macro playing by itself. So that's like how I do it. I make those two macros. Or many macros. I do it for the souls as well. I have a couple of macros. So this is just the macro in action for the buying. I put the loop on 140 instead of 10. And it's gonna buy just a bunch of Paldium for me. Just filling up 14 stacks instead of just flicking it along many times over, I guess. So just 140 of these queues to fill up the inventory a little bit. So you will be limited by inventory slots when you're doing this. I cut it a little bit to not show the entire thing. So you can see, like, if I wanted to spend a stack of gold, it would probably be, I think it was like I needed 8,000 slots or something. So it works a little bit, like, depending on how many slots you have. But it's nice for the souls maxing, especially if you're maxing like an army of souls. You can even do it when you're feeding your pal army, like feeding your 15 pals for the pal army. Anything like that, really. So for now, thanks for watching.